creatures.
Welcome to Art for Well-Beings.
That's beings with an S. It is plural.
A show to end all shows. A time to watch, learn, listen.
Hear, see, feel, be, do, have.
Art, and more art.
Visual art, human art.
So, without further delay, let's give a warm welcome to our host,
Local celebrity,
Judy Gittleson.
Oh, hello and welcome. Episode number 4 of Art for Well-Beings is all about the miraculous. My miraculous blue purse, a miraculous loaf of bread, and miraculous eggs, and most miraculous of all, the human. I'd like to welcome my co-hosts, Michael Buteau and Mavis McClellan.
Thanks for having us, Judy.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Welcome. And today we're going to introduce you to paintings, art, and more art. We're going to start with About a Painting, and I'm going to introduce you to Feeding the Multitudes and Land to Sea Launch. And then we're going to see Paint and Response, About an Egg. And we're also going to see a marvelous, Very Well-Being. So let's get to it. And right behind Mavis and Michael is a painting called Feeding the Multitudes. And I'm going to tell you about that painting, and then we're going to talk to Mavis and Michael about it. This painting started as a loaf of bread. And I was thinking about how when we work a loaf of bread and we create bread, we knead it. And we wrestle it, and we build it, and then we let it rise. So when I started this painting, I wrote the words, wrestling, resting, rest. And then I began to paint using those words. And the loaf of bread appeared, but it disappeared, and the structure of the painting became where the W was. And then I thought about it looked like a fish a bit, and that became the story of Feeding the Multitudes. And Michael, can you recall the story a bit?
Yes. So Jesus was setting sail, and he lands in this city, and a bunch of people have followed him, and he heals them. So there's only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So he thanks the gods, and he manages to divide all the food and for all 5,000 people.
Cool. And that's why I called it Feeding the Multitudes, because I started with this loaf of bread, and it evolved into a fish, and it also had John the Baptist was killed, and that's why Jesus left, and there was this tear at the beginning. And I duplicated the tear there. And Mavis, you were talking about the feeling of it, the structure of it. Can you say a bit about that?
Yeah, the first thing I noticed when I looked at this painting was that it's really kind of infinite, and like it's all connected. Your eye is sort of drawn throughout the painting and through the lines, and they all seem to just be a sort of infinite structure, and you can't really tell where it begins or ends.
It's kind of continuous.
Yes.
And then you were also talking about the colors that I used.
Yeah, my friend noticed that it's the main colors are red and blue, which are the colors that Jesus and Mary wear.
Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty solid form. You can see through it in pieces, but it's pretty solid. And Michael, you were talking about how it was like a structure.
Yeah, so there's a ball, and when I saw that ball, I immediately thought of the Rube Goldberg machine, like Rube Goldberg, like physics, and it struck me as being very mechanical, just with all the parts kind of the ball.
Machine-like.
Yeah, machine-like.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a lever at the far left, and you can just imagine how the ball would go throughout this machine type thing.
Cool. And so now we have another miracle that we're going to go to. Michael, do you want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, Planet Daisy is back.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. And that was a miracle. So continuing with our About a Painting, we're going to talk now about the painting behind me. And this painting is called Land to Sea Launch. And as opposed to Feeding the Multitudes, when I was working on Land to Sea Launch, I didn't have an original idea. I didn't have a strong concept. It just sort of became. And so, Mavis, you were talking a bit about how it was porous. Can you compare that or say a bit more about that?
Yeah, we noticed that it's very transparent. There are a lot of parts where you can see through, like, to the background, and it just seems very light and airy and moving. Mm-hmm. And whereas this piece is very solid and it has like sustenance and it's heavy and we thought it was kind of like resting, whereas this one is moving. And Michael, you were saying how it was going from the land to the sea.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems like both of these are going from the land to the sea, except, like as Mavis said, this one is more moving off, while this one is more of an inner type movement.
And solid and sustenance,
Yeah,
and
solid.
Sustenance is really an interesting word
Yeah.
because it's about feeding the multitudes, where maybe Land to Sea Launch is just this movement of air moving. And in the center, too, someone pointed out that the center is very fire-oriented, this kind of metal, fiery feeling in there that's almost a rubbing together of creating. What I was working on here, too, is I was working on the contents of the piece rather than the look of it, the exterior. I was working on the feeling of the inside, and that's really neat. What you can do with painting is you can paint what the insides might feel like as opposed to how something looks. And it did end up looking like an object, too. I think it's really neat what we're doing here is we're developing a conversation or a dialogue about art, and that's a really nice thing. Yeah. Mavis, do you have something you want? Are we ready for? I think we're almost out of time, so go ahead, Mavis. Oh, did you have something else you want to say, Michael?
Oh, I was going to introduce. Well, art is great, but being able to handle awkward situations artfully is also a great skill to have.
Okay,
so
we're going to keep talking just for one more second about that topic. There are lots of things that you can do artfully with a brush, with your body. You can move, you can dance, you can sing. Michael, did you have something else you wanted to say there?
Yeah, just you can begin to do something, and it's nice when it's a new year, and it's just very good.
Oh, I know. You wanted to talk about how you saw the egg shape in this
Yeah,
piece.
we noticed a lot of egg shapes, like a lot of round, oval, kind of shapes of birth, and the fire is kind of lively, and we noticed maybe even the shape of a baby being swaddled.
Swaddling.
Okay, like and now we get to go back to your
Okay,
original point.
as I was saying, being able to handle awkward situations artfully is also a very important skill to have. So here is Manners and Grammar by Amanda.
And we're rolling.
Oh, excuse me. Hello, this is Manners and Grammar, and I'm Amanda. Today what we're going to talk about is how to be in a social situation if you're a little shy. So there are three things that you can certainly do that help. One is to offer to help. In fact, even going a little early is a good idea. The second thing is to ask other people how they know the host or hostess. And the third thing is to ask someone what they recommend on the buffet table. That way, it's a way to open up a conversation without appearing to be really shy. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.
And cut. And yet another miracle. Thank you, Amanda. And now I know what I'll do when I have to pick my nose in public. I'll say, excuse me. Thank you. So now we're on to the section called Paint and Response. And if you remember last time, I did the painting of the candle. And we're going to use our miraculous blue purse to help us. So there are my paintings of the candle. And then I have things that you've sent in, made at the studio, posted to our Facebook page. And you too can put, this is a painting by Alan that I just love. Look at the beautiful colors of the gold and the yellow. And you can put paintings on our Facebook page, Art for Well-Beings. And these are all painted with our sponsor, Golden Paints. This is by Xenia. And here's a painting I did. These all came from inside this blue miraculous purse, too. Isn't that amazing? And here's a painting by Kim. Oops. And this is a nice painting where they did candles, and see how they have the darks and the light. This is by Emily. And she's put the, sorry for wiggling it, she's put the gold on top of the purple. That's a really neat effect. And the bread is helping us too, that miraculous bread. And here's a painting by Alan Gregory. So you can see how different people interpret these candles. Isn't that nice? I think this one, oh, this is by Kendrick. This is by Beatrix. And I have a really nice one, a special one that I brought in today by Barbara. I'm going to move these little ones and show you a big one now. And this is by Barbara. Look at that. And see how Barbara focused on the flame. And a neat thing that I saw while we were doing this exercise was that the wick, the very tip of the wick, is very bright red. And what's exciting about painting and the exercise of drawing or painting is that you start to look at things and you really look at them and see where they are. And that was last time's Paint and Response, so please send your paintings to our Facebook page, Art for Well-Beings. Use our marvelous sponsor, Golden Paints, or come to the studio and paint with us. And we're going to show you what's happening. Oh, look what's right here, these eggs. And let's see what's in our miraculous purse today, too, because the purse is our helper. I've got some papers and some photographs and a yarmulke, because every purse has a yarmulke. And look, an egg. Can you see that egg? Can you get an egg, a shot of that egg? And what I love about the egg is clearly it's a miracle. It's got a hard shell, and these are duck eggs down here. I'll show you the one in my hand is a regular chicken egg. There's a nice little chicken egg. I'm going to talk about this in the Paint and Response section coming up, but an egg is a great shape to look at in all sorts of light because you can have one light source and you can see the shadow very easily. And it's also almost a triangle. It's not exactly an oval and it's not a circle. So I'm going to put this egg with its fellow eggs. And the duck eggs are just beautiful and they feel like marble. So this is a beautiful duck egg if you can see that one. Can you get a close-up of that little duck egg? That's a really nice one, or just a nice look at that. And all the eggs reflect the light nicely too. That was what was so great about using them as a model. And a bread, look at all these craggy things. If you turn one light source on, you're going to see a lot more in painting too. Oh, and look at that blue purse too. What a beautiful blue purse. Okay, so now we're going to our section, Paint and Response. And hello, and welcome to today's Paint and Response. I'm going to be doing an egg. And I'm doing an egg because it's the beginning of the year, the new year, and lots of things begin with a seed or an egg, and have some really cool duck eggs. This is the raw duck egg over here. Look at that. We're going to concentrate on that one a little bit. See how the light is hitting it? And an egg is just a beautiful object. It's clearly organic, and the light hits it and falls. If you're at home and you have an egg, you can look at it, and a really good trick to do is to squint, and you can see how the light falls on it. Try using only one light source. Turn off all the lights in the room. That's a really fun thing to do. And right here I have the quail's eggs, and this is a bird nest. I forget the name of that bird. But anyway, today's paint, the special paint, is the iridescent family. And our special iridescent paints, and I'll show you right now in their bottles. So we have iridescent gold, silver, and bronze. And we're going to paint an egg out of those. And our backup colors in the fluids are titanium, Titan Buff, titanium white, quinacridone magenta, and green gold. And in the heavy body, I'm working with carbon black, Indian yellow hue, quinacridone, nickel azo gold, Hansa yellow medium, and again, titanium white in the heavy body. I'm going to show you them on the palette, okay? And we've got the heavy bodies, starting off with the heavy bodies. And here we've got it, just a quick reminder, carbon black, Indian yellow hue, titanium white, Hansa yellow, and quinacridone nickel azo gold. Look at this, isn't this marvelous? We have the gold, silver, bronze, and our friend interference green right there, quinacridone magenta, green gold, and Titan buff. So now we're ready to get painting. Ready? And this egg, I'm going to work about the motion of an egg and almost how it's a spiral. And I'm going to work from the inside out. I'm starting with the quinacridone gold, and I'm going to create a spiral. See how I did that? And oftentimes when I paint, I just use my mind as the... I've looked at an egg a bit, so I sort of have this shape of a triangle in my head. A very nice thing to do is to look at an egg in many different lights, so you can really understand light on an egg. And let's just say the light's coming from right here. And that's the titanium white and the quinacridone gold, nickel azo gold. And I've got that spiral movement. Okay, and then we're going to come in with quinacridone magenta. Woo! And something I like to do a lot is use the same color in the background and on the object. Have them incorporate each color and interact with each other. Have them smash into one another. Part background, part object. Here comes titanium white. And I've been looking at duck eggs today. And they're just beautiful and luminescent. Eggs are really luminescent. If you look at an egg, it's like, wow, something is happening in there. And I think about eggs as sort of hurtling through space, kind of like they're moving in their own direction. We got a little black on there. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the iridescence, the silver. And we're going to use the silver in the background and on the egg. And then we've got the gold. Here comes the gold. Little bit of bronze. And then our final treat is going to be interference green. And interference has the is comprised of titanium wrapped mica platelets. There's no pigment in it, and it reacts to different backgrounds. So where I'm going to put this interference green, maybe you'll be able to see the color shift of it. Ooh, there's a little bit. Little white and interference green. And the beauty of acrylic paint is what I don't like, I can go right back over. So I've got some Indian yellow hue right there. And there we are. And that's today's egg. by Interference and Iridescent Paint by Golden. Thank you. And now we have another miracle. We're in the studio with A Very Well Being Nick Golic. And let's go over and see Nick. And Nick's been painting with me for about 3 years. This is his maybe 5th grouping of paintings he's been working on, and we're going to see 3 of them. And here's Nick.
I made this book called Smallville, and they have some pictures here. That's Kal-El when he was born, and his friend Jimmy Olsen. He wants to know who is Superman, who really is a space alien. That's Major Zod, but his real name is Lex. Superman, that's not his real name. Superman is an action name, like a space hero. And I love Superman because he's my hero. Well, I have this dream. This dream I was flying, but I met this actor like Superman is, Tom Willie. He gave up his powers and he gave it to me. So when I saw myself in a mirror, I was tall. And I had his costume on me. And it feels good. Like I'm flying around my store. Like I put everything back in the shelves, like go backs. I just fly around the store like Superman is. Well, the whole story is all starting by the bit of the kid is the first. He died in 1887 when he was 21. So he went to this law school with his friend, the Apache Kid, and they are trained robbers, and they never seen this sheriff called Sheriff Pat Garrett. Billy the Kid likes butterflies that much, but his brother, Apache Kid, loves the Big Daddy butterfly. I call it a fallish butterfly, all different colors.
It's changing colors.
It's changing, and this is my lake.
Oh.
He's flying over the lake of an old tree. The butterfly series means it's a book, a story about butterflies, and they're from Mexico, Canada. The Big Daddy and the Queen made all beautiful babies, and they are very nice to look at. I really love to work art because art makes me a painter. I'm Nick, and I love to be here, and I like to do butterflies art with my best art teacher, Judy Gittleson. That's her. My colors are yellow, gold, a little white, and a little shiny white. Let's make it a Christmas leaf color.
Aww. And the shiny white is Interference Green. And if you catch it in the right light, it is really quite extraordinary. We'll see if we can you see that?
Oh yes. That is a beautiful color.
Thank you.
Yesterday,
All my troubles seem so far
away.
Now it looks as if they're here to stay. Oh, I believe
in yesterday.
I'd like to make a book of all these paintings. I had no idea you had so many butterflies. You know what I'd like to do with your butterflies? Is make a poster. You know, like a big wall poster. Like, would you like that? Yeah.
I like that.
Of just butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. Because they're all horizontal, most of them, right?
And they can put next butterfly family.
And that was a miracle. What a show. Thank you for being with us. And I want to thank my special hosts, Michael and Mavis.
Yes.
Thank you, Judy, for having us.
Oh,
was
it's
great.
wonderful. And I want to say a special thank you to Audrey Daniel for putting together that beautiful video of Nick and the great paint and response section. And it was a wonderful episode. And we look forward to your paintings on our Facebook page. And have a good afternoon, evening, or morning. Thank you.